Jai Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardhan Maharaj Ki Jai.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shiyata Parakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishakam Vitam Scha Om Jnana Timarandasya Gyanajana Shlakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gurva Bhistam Sapurakam Garaganara Sesha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipanam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govinda Vidam Ujwalam Bharatanam Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Mande Vishwagurun Shah Divyat Bhagavat Prem Noe Bija Pranam Devam Divyat Tanu Sushandabaranam Balanka Chelanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadekavaranam Vairagya Vidyam Buddhim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shubharam Mareka Sharanam Nyashishwara Shridharam Manshakopatarubyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavenibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahabaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaurata Vishe Namah. We're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami. Translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This is Antya-lila, Chapter 3, The Glories of Srila Haridas Thakur. Verse number 1. Vandeham Shri Guru Shiyata Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sagana Lalita Shivishakam Vitam Scha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and of all the other preceptors on the path of devotional service, unto all the Vaishnavas, and unto the six Goswamis, including Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Jiva Goswami, and their associates. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Advaitacharya Prabhu, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as well as all his devotees headed by Haridas Thakur. I then offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani and all the gopis headed by Lalita and Vishaka. Jaya Jaya Gaura Chandra, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Sri Advaitacharya, and all glories to all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Purushottame ek udiya brahmana kumar pitri shunya mahasundar mridu vyabhar. In Jagannath Puri there was a young boy who had been born of an arisen Brahmin but had later lost his father. The boy's features were very beautiful and his behavior was extremely gentle. Prabhustani Nityaishe Kore Namaskar Prabhusane Bhat Kohe Prabhu Pranatar Prabhute Tahara Priti Prabhu Doya Kore Damodar Tara Priti Sahite Na Pare. The boy came daily to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and offered him respectful obeisances. He was free to talk with Mahaprabhu because the Lord was his life and soul, but the boy's intimacy with the Lord and the Lord's mercy toward him were intolerable for Damodar Pandit. Barabar Nisheda Kore Brahmana Kumare Prabhurena Dekile Se Rohite Na Pare. So this is Damodar Pandit. Of course, everyone understands he's different from Swarup Damodar. Damodar Pandit and Shankar Pandit are brothers. And So this is Damodar Pandit. Barbarani Sheda Kore Brahmana Kumare Prabhurena Dekile Se Rohitena Pare. Damodar Pandit again and again forbade the son of the Brahmin to visit the Lord, but the boy could not bear staying home and not seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nityai She Prabhutare Kore Mahaprita Jahapriti Tahadai She Malakararita. The boy came every day to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who treated him with great affection. It is the nature of any boy to go see a man who loves him. Tahadeki namudara dukkha pai mane bolitena pare balak nishedena mane. This was intolerable for Damodar Pandit. He became greatly unhappy, but there was nothing he could say, for the boy would ignore his restrictions. Aradin se balak prabhu stani aila gosaitare priti kore bharta puchila. One day when the boy came to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord very affectionately inquired from him about all kinds of news. Katakane se balak uti jabe gela sahitena pare damodara kohite lagila. After some time, when the boy stood up and left, the intolerant Damodar Pandit began to speak. Anyo padeshi pandita kohe gosara tai gosai gosai ebe janimu gosai. Damodar Pandit impudently said to the Lord, "Everyone says that you are a great teacher because of your instructions to others, but now we shall find out what kind of teacher you are." Damodar Pandit was a great devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sometimes, however, a person in such a position becomes impudent and being influenced by the external energy and material considerations and becomes okay. So Damodar Pandit became influenced by Maya, as it says, material energy and external energy and material considerations. Thus, a devotee mistakenly dares to criticize the activities of the spiritual master of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Despite the logic that Caesar's wife must be above suspicion, a devotee should not be disturbed by the activities of his spiritual master and should not try to criticize him. A devotee should be fixed in the conclusion that the spiritual master cannot be subject to criticism and should never be considered equal to a common man. Even if there appears to be some discrepancy according to an imperfect devotee's estimation, the devotee should be fixed in the conviction that even if his spiritual master goes to a liquor shop, he is not a drunkard. Rather, he must have some purpose in going there. It is said in a Bengali poem, Jajapi Nityananda Surabori Jai Tahapio Hoy Nityananda Rai. Even if I see Lord Nityananda has entered a liquor shop, I shall not be diverted from my conclusion that Nityananda Roy is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here it says, even if we see the spiritual master enters into a liquor shop, we should not think he's doing so in order to get liquor or to drink. Of course, if some other devotee does that, we may think that. Ebe gosaira guna jasha sab loke gaibe tabe gosaira pratishta purushottamai hoibe. You are known as Gosai, teacher or acharya, but now talk about your attributes and reputation will spread throughout the city of Purushottama, how your position will be impaired. Shuni Prabhu kohe kya kaha Damodar, Damodar kohe tumi swatantri ishwar. Although Mahaprabhu knew that Damodar Pandit was a pure and simple devotee, upon hearing this impudent talk, the Lord said, "My dear Damodar, what nonsense are you speaking?" Damodar Pandit replied, "You are the independent personality of God and beyond all criticism." So it's characterized elsewhere as Damodar Pandit is characterized that he subjected the Lord to a standard that he himself did not keep. Like things that were not so important to him, and as far as as far as socially or in terms of daily dealings, things that were not important to Damodar Pandit for himself, he applied to Mahaprabhu. The reason being that he wanted Mahaprabhu to be seen as by everyone in an exalted position, and he was thinking that he had to make sure that nobody would be confused. So in this case, as we'll see, Damodar Pandit is thinking that the boy's mother is a beautiful widow and people may get the wrong idea. So therefore he's telling Damodar Pandit is telling Mahaprabhu, stop seeing this boy. But Mahaprabhu is the Lord, and he's just showing mercy to this boy. There's no consideration of anything to do with his mother or anything like that. So the Lord said, my dear Damodar, what nonsense are you speaking? Damodar Pandit replied, you are the independent personality of God beyond all criticism. Swachandya charakora ke pure bolite mukara jagatera muka parachadite. My dear Lord, you can act as you please. No one can say anything to restrict you. Nevertheless, the entire world is impudent. People can say anything. How can you stop them? So Damodar Pandit is saying the whole world will be impudent, but he himself is that way. So Pandita, but Damodar Pandit is a Parsha devotee of Mahaprabhu. He's very dear to the Lord. So sometimes in closeness, people say something to one that is not really called for, but Damodar Pandit does so because of his intimacy with Mahaprabhu. Pandita hayamane kene vicharna kara rande brahmanera balake priti kene kora. My dear Lord, you are a learned teacher. Why then don't you consider that this boy is the son of a widowed Brahmani? Why are you so affectionate to him? Jajapi Brahmani se tapaswini sati tatapi taharadosha sundari juvati. Although the boy's mother is completely austere and chaste, she has one natural fault. She is a very beautiful young girl. So we just finished, the last chapter was about Chota Haridas, and Chota Haridas went to ask from Mayadevi some rice to cook for Mahaprabhu, and Chota Haridas asked her, and Mayadevi is described as an elderly woman and a very renounced person and a good devotee, and yet Chota Haridas was rejected by Mahaprabhu. He said, I cannot tolerate to see the face of a person who is renounced and yet will speak intimately with a woman. So it's hard to imagine what would be the intimate conversation between Damodar Pandit and, between Chota Haridas and Mayadevi. But Mahaprabhu rejected him for so long, and the end result was I'm running two things together. The end result was that Chota Haridas didn't gain entrance into the Lord's association, and after about a year, he went into Prayag, which Allahabad now, but back to Prayag. He went to Prayag and committed suicide in the Triveni. Now, that's a strong thing. That was a previous chapter. And here, Damodar Pandit is criticizing Mahaprabhu himself, not for talking with a woman, but talking for this friendly to the son of a Brahmani who's a widow, and she's very beautiful. Tumiha paramajuva paramasundar lokara kanakani bate deho abasar. And you, my dear Lord, are a handsome, attractive young man. Therefore, certainly people will whisper about you. Why should you give them such an opportunity? As a simple and staunch devotee of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Damodar Pandit could not tolerate criticism of the Lord. But unfortunately, he himself was criticizing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his own way. The Lord could understand that it was because of Damodar Pandit's simplicity that he impudently dared criticize him. Nevertheless, such behavior by a devotee is not very good. Eta boli Damodar mona hoila antare santosha prabhu hase vicharila. Having said this, Damodar Pandit became silent. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smiled, pleased within himself, and considered the impudence of Damodar Pandit. Ihare kohi yeshuda premara taranga Damodara samamora nahyantaranga. Mahaprabhu thought, this impudence is also a sign of pure love for me. I have no other intimate friend like Damodar Pandit. Eteka bichare prabhu madhyane chalila aradine damodare nibrete balaila. Thinking in this way, Mahaprabhu went to perform his noon duties. The next day he called Damodar Pandit into a solitary place. Prabhu kohe Damodar chalaha nariya mataras samipe tumi rahataha jana. The Lord said, my dear friend Damodar, you had better go to Nadia and stay with my mother. Toma bina tahara rakaka nahi deki ana amakeha jate tumi koilant sabadana. I can see no one but you to protect her, for you are so careful that you can caution even me. So also, this is natural. We have known persons who are very good devotees, and at the same time they're so strict about so many of the rules and regulations that this should be done and that should be done. So here Mahaprabhu sees that this mood of Damodar Pandit, even we could say criticize him, is a sign that Damodar Pandit has great love for him. But then Mahaprabhu says, okay, now you're so strict, and you're the perfect person to go to stay with my mother, at least sometimes during the year, because you'll see that nobody does anything wrong, like that people will maintain things properly there in Bengal, and I'll feel that somebody is watching over my mother to see that she's safe. I can see no one but you to protect her, for you are so careful that you can caution even me. Tomasama nirapeka nahi more moragane nirapeka nahile dharma najai rakane. You are the most neutral among my associates. This is very good, for without being neutral, one cannot protect religious principles. Ama hoite jena hoy setoma hoite hoy amare gorilla danda anakeba hoy. You can do whatever I cannot. Indeed, you can chastise even me, what to speak of others. Later we see that Damodar Pandit's brother, his younger brother, Shankar Pandit, when Mahaprabhu in his ecstasy in his later Leela is rubbing his face against the wall and getting injuries out of separation, they put Shankar Pandit, who Mahaprabhu describes, told Damodar Pandit, your brother Shankar, he has an intimate relationship with me, and they put Shankar Pandit in the room with Mahaprabhu to stay there, to see that Mahaprabhu would be safe during. We also saw that when with Guru Maharaj, they had Gaur Krishna used to stay in the room with him and kind of watch over him. And one day Gaur Krishna fell asleep standing up, fell to the floor and knocked 2 of his teeth out. Now, Ama hoite jena hoy, setoma hoite hoy, amare. So Damodar, Shankar Pandit would also be with Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu would sometimes Damodar Pandit would watch over Mahaprabhu and he would fall asleep. And then Mahaprabhu would put his blanket on Shankar Pandit. But sometimes also Mahaprabhu used Shankar Pandit as a pillow and rested his head, or like on, or maybe feet, whatever. Shankar Pandit became known as the pillow of Mahaprabhu. So, Amahoite, that's Damodar Pandit. Mahaprabhu indicates that the relationship with Shankar Pandit was different, and with Damodar Pandit was more, you can say, very more friendly or close. But Amahoite Jaina hoy, Seto Mahoite hoy, Amare Koriladanda Anakeba hoy. You can do whatever I cannot. Indeed, you can chastise even me, what to speak of others. Matara grihe raha jai, matara charane tomarage nahive karo swachanda charane. It is best for you to go to the shelter of my mother's lotus feet, for no one will be able to behave independently in front of you. Madhye madhye yasiba kabu amara darshane, shigra kori punatahan koraha gamane. At intervals you may come see me here, and then soon go, and then soon again go there. Matare kohiya mora koti namaskare, mora sukha kata kohe sukha dihatare. Offer my mother millions of my obeisances. Please speak to her about my happiness here, and thus give her happiness. Nirantara neja kata tomare, shunaite elagi prabhu more pataila ihate. Tell her that I send you to inform her. Tell her that I sent you to inform her of my personal activities so that she may share in my happiness. Etakohe mataramane santosha janmaya, araguya kata tare smarana koraya. Speaking in this way, satisfy the mind of my mother Sachi. Also remind her of one most confidential incident with this message from me. Bari bari ashiami tomara babane, mistana byanjana sab koriye bojane. I come to your house again and again to eat all the sweetmeats and vegetables you offer. Bojana koriyayami tumi tahajan, baya virahe taha swapna koriman. You know that I come and eat the offerings, but because of external separation, you consider this to be a dream. Because Mother Sachi was feeling separation from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, she thought she was dreaming that her son had come to her. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, however, wanted to inform her that actually it was not a dream. He actually came there and ate whatever his mother offered him. Such are the dealings of advanced devotees with the Supreme Personality of God. Well, Mother Sachi, Mahaprabhu is always going to Mother in his Avirbhav feature, not always seen by others, but he's always going to Mother Sachi to take her offerings. He's always in Sriva Sangam, where they are holding kirtan in the evening. He's always where Nityananda Prabhu is dancing, and he's always in the house of Raghava Pandit. These four places, Mahaprabhu in his Avirbhav feature is there. And some devotees can see him, some devotees cannot, but this is one of the four kinds of presences of the Lord. One is Sakshat, direct presence. The second is Shaktivesh, when he empowers someone and is there by empowering that person. Empowers that person to do some task. Or the third is Avirbhav, when he is personally appearing before certain devotees. So those four devotees, that is Mother Sachi, Nityananda, Sriva Sangam, and house of Haridas Thakur, and the house of Raghava Pandit, the Lord goes there. But he also appears sometimes before devotees in his Avirbhav feature on other occasions, like when there are various occasions, but like when Raghunath Das was in the house of Raghava Pandit. Then Mahaprabhu went there and was seen by some devotees, not by all, there with Raghava Pandit and Raghunath Das Goswami, when Raghunath Das Goswami was going there after having fed Nityananda Prabhu and his followers in Panihati, when they did the Chir Doi Mahotsav, feeding everyone it says chip rice, and it's chira. Chira is like rice flakes with yogurt. And on that occasion, Mahaprabhu also appeared and there and was with Nityananda Prabhu when they were doing this festival. So, but that's Mahaprabhu told Damodar Pandit, tell my mother that I'm always going there to take the offerings. She thinks it's a dream, but I am really there. I stay in the Brahma Samhita. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadaiva Rida Yeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam Govindamadi Parusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who is always seen by the devotee whose eyes are anointed with the pulp of love. He is seen in his eternal form of Chandasindar situated within the heart of the devotee. Pure devotees realize dealings with the Lord on the transcendental plane, but because the devotees are still in the material world, they think that these are dreams. The Lord, however, talks with the advanced devotee, and the advanced devotee also sees him. It is all factual, it is not a dream. So Mahaprabhu impressed upon Damodar Pandit, informed my mother that I go and take her offerings there. She thinks it's a dream. She thinks she's dreaming, but it is real. E maga sankranti tumi randana korila nanabhyanjana kira pita payasa randila. During the last Magh Sankranti festival, you cook varieties of vegetables, condensed milk, cakes, and sweet rice for me. So during Magh Sankranti, that's around approximately the 15th of January, during the Magh Sankranti festival, you cook varieties of vegetable, condensed milk, cakes, and sweet rice for me. That Mother Sachi had prepared those during the festival. Krishna Boga Langana Jabe Koila Dhyan Amara Svurte Hoila Ashru Barila Nayan. You offered the food to Lord Krishna, and while you were in meditation, I suddenly appeared, and your eyes filled with tears. Astebhyaste Amegiya Sakalik Kaila Amikai Deki Tomara Sukha Upajila. I went there in great haste and ate everything. When you saw me eating, you felt great happiness. Kanake Ashru Muchiya Shunya Deki Pat Swapna Deki Lunjena Nimai Koilabad. In a moment, after you had wiped your eyes, you saw that the plate you had offered me was empty. Then you thought, I dreamt as if Nimai were eating everything. In a moment, after you had wiped your eyes, you saw that the plate you had offered me was empty. Then you thought, I dreamt as if Nimai were eating everything. So she actually saw Nimai, but then she thought it was a dream. Because Mahaprabhu was in Puri, she's thinking, how can Nimai be here eating everything? But she saw him. So, Bhaya Viraha Dashaya Puna Brande Hoila Bogana Lagailun Egyana Hoila. In the condition of external separation, you were again under illusion, thinking that you had not offered the food to Lord Vishnu. Pakapatre Dekila Sab Ana Achebari Puna Boga Lagaila Stana Samskara Kori. Then you went to see the cooking pots and found that every pot was filled with food. Therefore, you again offered the food after cleansing the place for the offering. E mata barbar koriye bojan, tomara shuddha preme more kore akarshan. Thus I again and again eat everything you offer me, for I am attracted by your pure love. Tomara gyateyami achi nilachale, nigate loya jal, ama tomara prema bole. Only by your order am I living in Nilachala, Jagannath Puri. Nevertheless, you still pull me near. Nevertheless, you still pull me near you because of your great love and love for me. Emata barbar koraya smaran, moranama loya tara bandiya charan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Damodar Pandit, remind Mother Sachi in this way again and again and worship her lotus feet in my name. Etako he Jagannathera prasadanila mistake Vaishnave dite pritak dila. So Mahaprabhu is sending Damodar Pandit there to protect his mother. Actually, Damodar Pandit had very impudently criticized Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu saw that in a positive way. Because of his love for me, he is criticizing me. But then Mahaprabhu thinks, oh, this is good. Then he can protect my mother and the devotees in Nabadwip by being there because he's very strict. So Mahaprabhu. But at the same time, Mahaprabhu sends him to Bengal from Puri to see. So Mahaprabhu's pastimes are very deep. Etikohe Jagannathera prasadanaila matake Vaishnave dite pritak dila. After saying this, Mahaprabhu ordered that varieties of prasadam offered to Lord Jagannath be brought. The Lord then gave him the prasadam separately packed to offer to various Vaishnavas and his mother. Tabe Damodara Chali Nadia Aila Matare Miliya Tara Chanane Rohila. In this way, Damodar Pandit went to Nadia, Nabadwip. After meeting Mother Sachi, he stayed under the care of her lotus feet. Acharjadi Vaishnavere Mahaprasada Dila Prabhura Jaichayagya Pandita Taha Acharila. He delivered all the prasadam to such great Vaishnavas as Advaitacharya. Then he stayed there and behaved according to the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Damodara age swatandriya na hoy kahar, tarabaye sabe kore sankocha vyabahar. Everyone knew that Damodar Pandit was strict, and everyone knew that Damodar Pandit was strict in practical dealings. Therefore, everyone was afraid of him and dared not do anything independent. So, I also remember and felt like my dear godbrother, Parvat Maharaj. He was strict with many things. And he controlled the things such in the ashram and such that people would not behave like in a very frivolous manner. He's sometimes he joked, but in many ways he was strict. I actually liked that because I thought personally the way he applied it kind of in a random way I found humorous. Very, very wonderful person though. Prabhu Gane Jaradeki Alpa Maryada Langan Vakyadanda Kore Kore Marjana Stapan. Damodar Pandit would verbally chastise every devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu whom he found deviating even slightly from proper behavior. Thus he established the standard etiquette. Eta kohila Damodar Bhakyadanda Jahara Shravane Bhage Agyaya Pashanda. Etako hilon damodarer vyakyadanda jahara Shravane bhage agyana prashanda. In this way I have described Damodar Pandit's verbal chastisements. As one hears about this, atheistic principles and ignorance depart. So. Chaitanya Lila Gambir Koti Samudra Hoite Kilage Kikore Kehona Paribujite. The pastimes of Mahaprabhu are deeper than millions of seas and oceans. Therefore, no one can understand what he does or why he does it. Ateva Guda Arta Kichwina Jani Bayarta Koribare Korita Tanatani. I do not know the deep meaning of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's activities. As far as possible, I shall try to explain them externally. Ek din Prabhu Haridas Seri Milila Tahaloya Goshti Kori Tahare Puchila. One day Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Haridas Thakur as usual, and in the course of discussion he inquired as follows. Haridas Kali Kale Javana Apar Go Brahmane Himsakori Mahadurachar. My dear Thakur Haridas, in the age of Kali, most people are bereft of Vedic culture, and therefore they are called Yavanas. They are concerned only with killing cows and Brahminical culture. In this way, they all engage in sinful acts. So, this indicates there are people in the time of Mahaprabhu. Of course, the country was occupied by the Muslims, and they would engage in activities where even they were killing cows and things like, and atrocities like this. From the statement by Mahaprabhu, we can clearly understand that the word Javana does not refer to a particular class of men. It doesn't just refer to Muslims, it refers also to any persons who are outside the Vedic principles. Anyone who is against the behavior of the Vedic principles is called a Javana. Such a Javana may be in India or outside of India. As described here, the symptoms of Javanas is that they are violent killers of cows and Brahminical culture. We offer our prayers to the Lord by saying, Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitayacha. The Lord is the maintainer of Brahminical culture. His first concern is to see to the benefit of cows and Brahmins. As soon as human civilization turns against Brahminical culture and allows unrestricted killing of cows, we should understand that men are no longer under the control of the Vedic culture, but are all Yavanas and Malechas. It is said that the Krishna consciousness movement will be prominent within the next 10,000 years, but after that, people will all become Malechas and Javanas. That is, thus at the end of the Juga, Krishna will appear as the Kalki avatar and kill them without consideration. Iha sabar kon mate hoy benishtar tahara hetu nadakiye edukapar. How will these Yavanas be delivered to my great unhappiness? I do not see any way. So Mahaprabhu is expressing this to Haridas Thakur. But we can see Haridas Thakur, he was born in a Muslim family. But Mahaprabhu is saying how there are so many Yavanas, and I'm asking you, Haridas, how will all these Yavanas be saved? How will they get Krishna consciousness? They're even killing cows. Haridas Kohe Prabhu Chindana Korea Javanera Samsaradeke Dukana Bhavya. Haridas Thakur replied, My dear Lord, do not be in anxiety, do not be unhappy to see the condition of the Yavanas in material existence. Javana Salakera Mukti Have Anayase Haram Haram Bole Kohe Namabhas. because the Yavanas are accustomed to saying Haram, Haram, O Lord Ramachandra, they will very, very easily be delivered by the namabhas. So they're saying Haram, which means terrible. This is terrible, but it contains Lord Ramachandra's name. So it's considered namabhas. They don't know that they're chanting actually Lord Ramachandra's name, but they're saying Haram, Haram. This is very terrible. Mahapreme Bhakta Kohe Haram Haram Javanera Bhagyadeka Loy Senam. A devotee in advanced ecstatic love exclaims, O my Lord Ramachandra, O my Lord Ramachandra. But the Yavanas also chant Haram Haram. Just see their good fortune. If a child touches fire, the fire will burn him. And if an elderly man touches fire, it will burn him also. Haridas Thakur says that a great devotee of the Lord exclaims, Haram, Haram, but although Yavanas do not know the transcendental meaning of Haram, Haram, they say these words in the course of their ordinary life. For the Yavanas, the words Haram, the Yavanas, the words haram mean abominable, whereas the devotee exclaims the words haram in ecstatic love. So for the Yavanas, this means, oh, this is very unfortunate. How abominable. Nevertheless, because the words haram are the spiritual summum bonum, the fact is the same, whether they uttered by Yavanas or by a great devotee, just as fire is the same both for a child and for an elderly man. What it means is, the Yavanas, they're saying haram, haram, how terrible it is, but they are chanting, you could say indirectly, they're chanting the holy name. So what will be effective for them is that they can be delivered by namabhas. They're not calling Lord Ramachandra, they're saying how terrible this is. But because they're saying in the mood of innocence, they're saying the holy name, they get some benefit from that. They're not chanting namaparad, they're not necessarily making an offense against the holy name, they're just saying these words, and they get indirectly some benefit through, or we can even say directly, some benefit through namabhas. Nevertheless, because the words haram are the spiritual summum bonum, the fact is the same, whether they are uttered by Yavanas or by great devotees, just as fire is the same, both for a child and an elderly man. In other words, the holy name of Krishna, haram, always acts even when the holy name is chanted without reference to the Supreme Lord. Yavanas utter the holy name in a different attitude than devotees, but the holy name haram is so powerful spiritually that it acts anywhere, whether one knows it or not. This is explained as follows. Jajapi anya sankete anya hoy namabhas tatapi namera tejo na hoy vinash. Namacharya Haridas Thakur, the authority on the chanting of the holy name, said, the chanting of the Lord's holy name to indicate something other than the Lord is an instance of namabhas. Even when the holy name is chanted in this way, its transcendental power is not destroyed. This is Haridas Thakur responding to Mahaprabhu when Mahaprabhu asked him, how will all the Yavanas be delivered? I'm concerned about this. Haridas Thakur, we can say he's born in a Yavana or Malecha family, but Haridas Thakur is the Namacharya. Mahaprabhu is asking this question. So many people are outside Vedic culture. How will they be able to receive how will they get Krishna consciousness, in other words? Jajapi anya sankete anya hoy namabhas tatapi namera tejo na hoy minash. Namacharya Haridas Thakur, the authority on the chanting of the holy name, said the chanting of the Lord's holy name to indicate something other than the Lord is an instance of namabhas. Even when the holy name is chanted in this way, its transcendental power is not destroyed. Damstri damstrahato mulecho haramiti puna puna udvapi muktim apnoti kimbuna shradaya grinan. Even a mulecha who is even a mulecha or a Muslim who is being killed by the tusk of a boar and who cries in distress again and again, haram, haram, attains liberation. What then to speak of those who chant the holy name with veneration and faith? This refers to an instance in which a meat-eater being killed by a boar uttered the words haram, haram, and again uttered the words haram, haram again and again at the time of his death. Since this is a quotation from the Nrsimha Purana, this indicates that in the Puranic age there must have also been Malechas and Yavanas, meat-eaters, and the words haram meaning condemned were also uttered in those days. Thus Haridas Thakur gives evidence that even a meat-eater who condemns something by uttering the words haram gets the benefit of chanting the holy name that the devotee chants to mean, O my Lord Ramachandra, O my Lord Rama. So in this case, the Malecha is being killed by the tusk of a boar, and he's saying, haram, haram, oh, this is very abominable, how terrible this is. That's what he's saying. But he's called Lord Rama's name, so he gets the benefit. And then he gives, then Haridas Thakur gives the example of Ajamil. Ajamila putre bolai boli narayan Vishnu dutashi Chadaya tahara bandhan. Ajamil was a great sinner during his life, but at the time of death, he accidentally called for his youngest son, whose name was Narayan, and the attendants of Lord Vishnu came to relieve him from the hands of Yamaraj, the superintendent of death. Rama dui akara iham nahe vyabhashita prema vaseha shabda tahate bhushita. Word Rama consists of the two syllables Ra and Ma. These are unseparated and are decorated with the loving word Ha, meaning O. So, haram, haram. Namera akara shabder eta swabhav jabahita hoilena chade apana prabhav. The letters of the holy name have so much spiritual potency that they act even when uttered improperly. Namaikam yasya bhachi smaranapata gatam shrotamulam gatam va shudam vas vashuda charnam vyavahita rohitam tarayati eva satyam tatsched deho dravina janata loka pashanda madhye nikitam shan nafala janakam shigram evatra vipra. If a devotee once utters the holy name of the Lord, or if it penetrates his mind or enters his ears, which is the channel of oral reception, that holy name will certainly deliver him from material bondage, whether vibrated properly or improperly with correct or incorrect grammar, or properly joined or vibrated in separate parts. O Brahman, the potency of the holy name is therefore certainly great. However, if one uses the vibration of the holy name for the benefit of the material body, for material wealth and followers, or under the influence of greed or atheism. In other words, if one utters the name with offenses, such chanting will not produce the desired result very soon. Therefore, one should diligently avoid offenses in chanting the holy name of the Lord. So namabhas is distinguished from namabhas because there's not an offense being, in many cases, there's not an offense being committed, but because one is, for instance, saying without due consideration, then namabhas will be there. Like the case of Ajamil, he's calling his son's name is Narayan, so he's called the Lord, but he's not really directly calling the Lord, he's calling his son who's named Narayan. But this is namabhas. There's a distinction between namabhas and namapara. Namapara, the person is actually committing offenses, and the holy name may not act under those circumstances. So I'm going to continue tomorrow from this place. Okay. Hariharaya Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama Jaravaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Yaradhara Shiva Sadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jai Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Jai Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan Jao Hoite Vignana Shavista Puran Jai Gosai Jarmui Taradas Kasabar Badarenu Mora Panchagras Padir Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas Janame Janame More Abhilas Jai Gosai Jabe Braje Kolabas Radha Krishna Antya-lila Gorila Prakash Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Padema Jayaman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas. Hari Nam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamodar. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Haribo. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Haribo. Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhariju Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Tara Sarashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Tara Sarashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtatara Satashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Rakshira Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Sachidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Bharga Ki Jai. Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasha Raghunath, Shadgo Swami Prabhu Ki Jai, Premsigo, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi, Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur Ki Jai, Shri Chaitanya Bhagwat Ki Jai, Narottam Srinivas, Shyamananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Jai Om Vishnupad Vishvavaranya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai, Sokel Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Sevashram Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopi Govardhan, Shyam Kuna Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Ju Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, all the assembled devotees Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardhan Maharaj Ki Jai.